Meet Scout. Sea Scout. Sea Scout inch toward you on wheels. Hear Scout whir and hum as it creeps closer and closer still. Flee from Scout along your sunny neighborhood sidewalk, down a dark alley, into the mouth of hell. You will soon tire, but Scout will never slacken its pace. Give up, slump before Scout, and tumble into Scout's gaping maw. This is the music you will hear over the eternity of your mechanical insistment. Sea Scout.
Welcome back. Seattle Sucks. Podcast about hating the city we love.
Sure is.
This is Colin, and I'm joined with Captain Greg.
Captain Greg. So I'll put on my hat since it's just us and there's no guests to see me.
Yeah.
I will put on my captain's hat for the episode.
Yeah, you look great.
It's just you and me, I guess, which is fine.
We've done it before.
Yeah,
we'll probably do it again.
Just the two of us babbling about nothing. But we're surrounded by the comforts of the boat. I've got a drink. Colin, as is his wont, is imbibing in the nectar of the trogs. He's doing the do over here.
Well, I came out of my cave to get my tasty little drink here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's been a while though.
Yeah,
It's been like a month since we recorded last, I think.
Don't tell them that.
Snow
Maybe
fell.
they didn't notice. Maybe they didn't notice. And it has not been a month.
It's been a month.
Since we recorded?
Yeah, because it snowed in early
It took us a while to put out the last one.
early February. So snowpocalypse happened.
Yeah, but so that's like 3 weeks ago.
I got to go to the grocery store immediately after recording last episode, and we had a nice little conversation about that.
Oh,
over
yeah. I
text.
said that was an insane nightmare. Which
It was.
Okay, but to be fair, like, I was at Trader Joe's just on Sunday, and
The following Sunday?
No, just like this Sunday,
Sunday.
just a couple of days ago.
Uh-huh.
And I never really know what day of the week it is, so...
Oh, yeah. Why
So I walk in there, I'm like, oh, this must be a heavy shopping day or whatever. It's a Sunday afternoon, okay? And I am overhearing people in the store like, oh my god, this place is a zoo. This is a nightmare. And I'm unbothered by it.
You're unbothered by it?
Just like, okay, so there was a line too deep at each register, and I don't push a cart around a grocery store ever. Like,
Well, that's smart.
unless I'm throwing up massive party or something,
yeah.
I don't ever push a cart.
When you welcome the mermaids on board.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't pushed a cart in a long time. But so that's a big. Maybe that makes a difference because
that's the thing that drives me nuts, though. At Trader Joe's, those aisles are not even wide enough for two American people.
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
You just walk around and go the other way. Yeah, sometimes I look down an alley and I'm
go
like,
the other way,
okay,
but they're all full.
Whatever. Honestly, I was wandering through this very crowded store,
whistling a tune.
No,
singing a sea shanty,
muttering to myself as I tend to do. But I spend lots of time in a grocery store. I mean, it's like my main activity on a given day. So like, I go in, I shuffle around muttering to myself like a
captain.
Someone
lost at sea.
Yeah. More mentally ill than perhaps I am, or not, I guess, actually. And I didn't really even know. I didn't even notice that there was a ton of people in there till about halfway through, and I was hearing, it's like, I don't know, what's the complaint? What's the big deal? I mean, them being sold out of shit, that's weird.
Hell, those other people. Well, that was the thing. It was like the world actually was ending. Everybody was living out their fantasy, dream baby dream.
Yeah, but what that tells you, I think, is that that's the limit of people's imagination for the end of the world.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, that's the worst that would happen. Like, I don't think it would get much worse than that, you know?
I think it would if we weren't talking about snow. If we were talking about something else.
Say, you know, if, like, the end of the world, if, like, a real catastrophe was coming, I think, Seattleites would basically just go heavily shopping and then keep to themselves, probably. I'd like to believe there'd be, like, heavy looting, but I just don't have that much faith in humanity. Because that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Looting would be cool. There should have been more looting during the snow, actually.
Yeah, that's really a shame. That was your shot.
Yeah.
There was nothing to loot, though. That's what I'm saying. At least for, like, 6-hour periods until the shipments of new stuff came in. Because it wasn't actually a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's old news at this point. It certainly will by the time we get this episode out.
Well, I just thought, okay, that's fine. You'd appreciate that. But
no, I do.
Other things have happened. Our space boy Jeff was spurned by the Big Apple.
Oh,
so
holy shit, we haven't talked about that.
Came home to...
that is the fucking funniest thing I've ever heard.
Blow off some steam, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we don't need... I mean, it's like, by now it's old news, so...
Yeah, well, it's a couple weeks old,
old, so, like, everyone's already talked and written about it and are bored of it, but I mean, like, just to register our grand shock, I don't think anyone really saw that coming. I think that speaks to the habitual sort of pessimism of the left, of even with all the activity that is there now, and all the activism that was going on in New York about this, to most of those activists from, like, reading stuff about it, and to everyone else in the country, like, those were motions that, you know, needed to be gone through, and we needed to, you know, like, and then most of the talk was like, we're going to keep building this up now so that when they do get here, it's never easy for them. We make it a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. And that was the best you could hope for. But then there was something their better. Hopes were actually dashed. I mean, that's like,
yeah, that was big.
A tiny spark of something revolutionary or something. I don't know.
Definitely. Well, yeah. Then you was it Bloomberg? Someone said it was the greatest tragedy they'd seen.
Well, lots of people said that, but I
guess they forgot about 9/11.
After insisting never to do that.
Never, only sometimes forget. But
only conveniently forget 9/11.
Well,
what's 9/11? That's just the coolest, funniest thing. And just to know also that the whole saga of this elaborate con game that was never real.
Yeah.
There was this... I mean, we knew it was a con. We didn't understand completely that it was, like,
how
total
brazen,
con. Like, how utterly hollow it was.
Right.
So clear that they were never going to go anywhere else than New York, so they thought. And then not to have gone through all that and made the entire country debase itself, like to flagellate itself before Jeff, and then to just have it just called off by just because some people got angry. You know, I mean that's the power of people getting pissed off,
right? And not backing down in the face of money, really.
Unlike the Seattle City Council, who famous for backing down,
bootlickers,
and that's the new turn, the new turn that connects it all together. The thing that connects the two big Amazon stories here and that went national last year: the head tax bullshit and the Miss Amazon pageant,
right? Little Miss Amazon pageant.
Them using the same tactic of threatening or offering or, you know, being the creator of jobs, in Seattle. And specifically with regard in the head tax in the most specific form. It was, I mean, the whole argument was in a very general way. And then, but the they put just political pressure overall, but the most public stance they took was claiming to put that building project on hold.
Right.
Which was bullshit. We understand and understood then anyway, was total horseshit. They didn't do anything. All they really said were they were halting some phase of planning they were pausing some plan. Like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
But except then what they threatened was that, if this goes through, we won't be able, instead of expanding Amazon operations here, we'll have to sublease it to other people.
Right.
And that was, oh my gosh, they're threatening not to bring more jobs here. If you back up a minute, you'll notice that the implication is that they feel that it is financially viable to build a building and lease it to some other companies, if not themselves, to be filled with...
Well, not jobs, I guess.
Yeah.
Else.
The
scout robots.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah. I mean, the server farms manned by one, lonely old man? No, it's fucking office space, okay?
Right.
So, it doesn't matter... Again, if they already, by building it, show, they're making an investment in jobs being in that building either way.
Sure.
So, fuck off right there. But now, they've gone and...
They did it anyway.
They did... What do you know? They don't give a shit about creating jobs. They don't give a shit even about keeping the promises or threats they use to muscle, hapless shithead politicians in Seattle.
Yeah.
No surprise. It's just funny. It's just funny how this particular Seattle City Council that is not long for legislative power, they continue to look stupider and stupider all the time.
Yeah.
What a bunch of hapless idiots.
Yeah, it almost was perfectly played out. And I was joking about it, but it just feels so... It feels so personal and petty. Like somebody they had been humiliated in front of the world with this New York City thing, and it's like, well, we gotta flex somewhere, and we can still flex at home.
Oh man, I like this.
The husband comes back from the office, didn't have such a great day. Somebody's got to pay for that, right? That's us.
So we got the black eye in this
we got the black eye.
Abusive marriage.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no. Yeah, basically.
Because I don't really... I saw somebody tweeting that the economy is going to collapse any day now, which they're probably not wrong. But it feels so petty and so stupid that it almost feels perfect.
I mean, on the one hand, it's like they reneged on their the reversal of their threat, okay, which already...
Uh-huh.
It's especially galling, too, knowing that they aren't going to build this whole campus in Queens.
Oh, yeah, right.
That they are going to spread out jobs then across the rest of the country. They're planning massive expansion.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really a major fuck you.
Oh, completely.
Because they've said, we're not going to Queens, we're gonna go to Virginia, and we're gonna spread the rest out at places we already are. Just not Seattle.
Yeah, because the bluff has been called.
I think it's ludicrous to look at these people as the job creators who have this power over the economy.
Oh, completely.
Well, they have too much power. They have power that is undue, an enormous power that is undue over the economy.
Well, yeah, it's
but
almost like...
that they can control parts of it to their advantage. That doesn't mean they control the whole economy. Amazon, isn't going to be able to stop the economy collapsing again if that's what's going to happen. So what do we owe them exactly? Fuck all.
Yeah, well, that's what New Yorkers said, right? They called that bluff. Said we don't need you. We don't think you're a positive thing.
But
really.
People who are already living here don't need you anyway.
Yeah, and hopefully that's empowering. Hopefully that's empowering here, and hopefully that's empowering elsewhere. But
the battle in New York, the surprise victory. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
It's a fucking rout for like they.
Oh, completely.
Like a guerrilla war
Mm-hmm.
fought against a vastly superior force.
Yeah.
Was victorious in an utter rout and drove them out of their territory. I mean, like...
Yeah, well, we've joked about this. I think they were they've been asleep at the wheel because they've had this city wrapped around their fingers. And they believe...
By doing very little as well.
Oh, completely. And they believe their own hype. And they weren't prepared for... They clearly weren't prepared for the backlash. And it's not even all of this organizing and process that's happened since the announcement, but very few positive takes emerged after the announcement of the HQ2 locations that I saw in major publications.
Yeah, well, because everyone... Well, they overplayed their fucking hand, okay?
Right, completely.
But in an astoundingly huge way. Like, it's what every other corporation in America has done for decades is play this game of leveraging the ability to move between states to get concessions out of state governments. This is old news. Mm-hmm. But what they do it like quietly in the back room, and then when the final deal comes in where it is, then the politicians there get to say the good things about it, and they get to say we're bringing jobs, and you don't understand, they don't hype the fact, they haven't shined a light on the fact that it is an economy of concession, right? Mm-hmm. That it is part of a system of, that it's clearly such a race to the bottom. Mm-hmm. They just came out brazenly for that in a totally unneeded way. It was all it was for was to drive up the deal in New York and Virginia. Right. Which they probably didn't need to do. Yeah. I mean...
Well, yeah, because...
They could have gone behind closed doors and said, in a not-so-public way. Yeah. They could have done the same thing in a not-as-public way and not, touted it like we're... Jeff did, he
God is here.
He wanted the red carpet to be rolled out and have it be pulp and have the American people go, wow, this is cool or something. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So they could have done the exact same thing, which is go, let it be known to a bunch of states that, we're looking out, submit proposals for what you get, and we're looking at lots of places. Yeah. Like tons of companies do. And they've got it, and instead of making they made it a PR thing for some reason.
It was a show.
They loved it.
It was a spectacle.
Which they don't need to do, because ultimately, it was just, the whole New York deal was just done in a back room anyways. That part of it wasn't litigated in public.
No. All the details emerged after that announcement.
Right. And even outside of legislative...
Right. Yeah. Process.
Yeah. So all they could have just gone to the state and gone just so you know, submit a proposal, we're looking around to expand.
It's hubris. Pride comes before the fall. Prime comes before the fall.
And now they just shot themselves in the dick.
Yeah.
It was such a... it was so easy to paint as just a disgusting... race to the bottom. Yeah. Then, when it's announced, it's so obvious to everyone without any further evidence. Yeah. It's so self-evidently clear that it was a bullshit con. Yeah. No one in America didn't immediately understand, wait, New York and D.C.?
Yeah. Weird.
It's so clear that they were never going anywhere else.
Yeah.
But the hubris there is to do things that are obviously horrible and exploitive and expect to get a smile, get a smile back,
Yeah, well, so the thing I think is that they believe their own myth. They believe that they're different and they're disrupting the normal process, and they're not just any old company. They're not an incumbent, old, stodgy merchant of death like Boeing. They're cool. Every day is day one to them. So
This is a total day one mindset.
It is, completely.
Let's reinvent the wheel.
They're like, oh, there's tons
of... not learn from anyone in
history
or
literature or even our own intuition.
That is the Silicon Valley mindset.
It is.
And it's here, too. The history... Those people, they don't get liberal educations.
No, they don't.
They've never read history in their lives.
No, they have contempt.
Literally actually think it's worthless to know. And that attitude is part of, it's not directly connected, but that attitude is part of that day one mindset that's like... The thing we have to do here is go to first principles, reinvent the wheel better. And because we're doing it now, instead of back then...
Yeah, think of how much smarter we are now.
The wheel's gonna be better because it's now. What they're leaving out are the other factors in the equation. That they are very stupid.
Yeah.
And that they're doubly stupid for not learning from, the world around them.
Yeah, well, this is basically like the Dunning-Kruger thing of the less knowledge you have in a specific area, the smarter you think you are.
The more you think you know, yeah.
And that's definitely at play here, like you're saying. They have no respect for foundations of sort of liberal, like a liberal arts classic education. So why would they put stock in any of that?
Or of corporate grift,
right? Oh yeah.
Like basic political corruption and the selling off of our public wealth. That's a perfected art. Like there's an entire media and political structure ready to just service that.
Yeah.
And they still fucked it up. This is fucking funny.
Well, yeah, like you're saying, it was a gimme putt, and somehow they missed it.
Ugh, they could be breaking ground in Queens right now, having the first time the world ever hearing about HQ2 was HQ2 is coming to, or HQ2 and 3, whatever, however they would have framed it, is coming. You never heard anything before. Huge expansions outside of DC and in Queens. Yeah. Big news. Yeah. Big cooperation with the whatever, and then they'd sell it, and it'd come out of nowhere, and the media would, having no other narrative but what they know and love, they'd be like, wow, they're bringing the jobs,
Gotta get those jobs.
And people would be out and protest it, and they'd know how there'd be activists who know how gentrification works, and people in those neighborhoods who knew they were going to get fucked. But it wouldn't matter.
Right, it was too late at that point.
And maybe this is what this is, corporate America has the same problem now too. As this, it's a different, iteration, it's a different character. Mm-hmm. And on the same timeline, it's not like they necessarily picked it up from Silicon Valley, because on the same timeline, starting in the 90s, Wall Street has been all about, their arguments for deregulation, for example, have all been about innovation in financial products.
The market.
And they don't want to know about how it actually works. They don't want to know about the past. They don't want to understand. They don't want to really have many people around to understand economics, much less political economy. Mm-hmm. And then they crash the global economy, it's just a bunch of fucking know-nothing assholes.
Oh, yeah. Grifters.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, more recently, what was the new... This was just today?
The philanthropic announcement.
The philanthropy Oscars. Best philanthropist.
Yeah, that's
2018.
That is what's so beautiful about this too. Let me find where it went.
This should be an awards show.
It sounds like it is. So this was released on Tuesday, the 26th. Jeff and Mackenzie Bezos top list of biggest philanthropists in 2018. Wow, that sounds good, right? Jeff and Mackenzie Bezos donated more money to charity last year than anyone else in the world, according to The Chronicle of Philanthropy.
The Chronicle? Oh, that's like the Motion Picture Association. They should host a a gala and give out, the honors.
I'm sure that they do.
For different categories, and, now see, in the world of philanthropy, everyone holds their own gala to celebrate themselves.
Yeah.
So, the next level shit would be like a unifying association of philanthropists who honor themselves, who fillet themselves in public with red carpets and designer gowns and things.
And Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, preferably.
The Amazon CEO and his soon-to-be ex-wife, got to get that in there. I mean, this guy's getting paid by the word, I think. Donated $2 billion to boost nonprofits that help homeless families. Okay. The donations were made under their Bezos Day One Fund, which we have just skewered previously on this show, which started in September 2018. So that right there is hilarious, too. So this fucking organization didn't even start until September.
Yeah.
And then they can just dump $2 billion into
Yeah, of course, right? It's just enough.
Well, that's how stupid this fucking
what's also
thing
funny is that they haven't spent $2 billion.
No.
They've shifted $2 billion from their own bank accounts to
their other own bank account.
Another bank account they control.
Yeah. Yeah. That's philanthropy, man.
Cool. So, all we're really announcing here is like
a
tax status
between two.
Yeah. This is like
yeah.
The headline should be Jeff and Mackenzie Bezos will not be taxed on $2 billion of their wealth from this year. This in addition to all the other taxes they will not pay.
Yeah, that's totally fair. But yeah, this whole we talked about this, Alex and I talked about this a long time ago before you went off to Liberty to live your life, that this Day One Fund that has broadly been associated with homelessness, sort of the problem, the general problem of homelessness, is really only focused on homeless families.
Yeah.
And there was a recent piece, was this from yesterday in the Times, about this kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Well, so they give their whole thing, again, they haven't given, presumably they've maybe spent some money, but...
yeah.
But so far, not all that $2 billion, but it's focused on, it was Mary's Place that he launched it at, right?
Well... So Amazon had previously partnered with Mary's Place.
Oh, that's right.
And I believe it was announced that this Day One Fund would be donating to them, but that the Day One Fund for homelessness would specifically only help the problem of, or the category of homelessness affecting families, rather than homelessness at large. That's one half. The other half is charter school bullshit.
Right. So $1 billion
is
for actual, not so much philanthropy, but for a political action campaign to defund and privatize America's schools for profit.
Yeah, and of course, I think that was couched in the language of bringing education to underserved areas or something like that.
Yeah, for profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck. Yeah, well, what was your guys' take on the family dichotomy?
It bothers me personally. I don't think Alex and I really delved into it super deeply, but this kind of arbitrary distinction that feels very, very neoliberal or liberal to focus on a specific group of people that could be deemed as less culpable for being in that more sympathetic.
Well, more sympathetic, certainly.
Which
seems kind of cowardly, if that's the motivation,
Yeah, and it's not that those people don't need help. Of course they do, but it feels further marginalizing to the problem at large. And you and I were talking about that for the show, that it's like, it's sort of it's like putting blinders on to the systemic problem.
Yeah. Well, the more you target the various, like, forms that our social problems take, or even homelessness takes, the farther you must get from a systemic solution. And so, yeah, like, the kids are certainly blameless, you know, but the parents are probably homeless for the same set of reasons that anyone else is.
Right.
The same system is cranking out people who cannot shelter themselves and live dignified lives.
Yeah.
There's been, I think, like, one of the problems with, like, emergency homeless sheltering is, I think, there hasn't been a lot of support for, like, families. Like, a lot of it, you know, most shelters that'll accept adult men only accept adult men.
Right,
you know,
right.
It's like you can't maintain a life. There's a huge set of restrictions, you know, on all kinds of ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way to have a family and a relationship in a lot of these emergency shelter situations, which is one reason why people choose to avoid them. Not the only one, but but like the answer to that, you know, it seems going backward to just invent a new restriction, you know. You need to open up the avenues for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what, if it's adding to a system, if you're building up, like, I'm not against anyone building up more emergency shelters and services for families. But I think we get to this a lot on this podcast is, like, it's okay to be against good things, or to critique good things that are not addressing something on a systematic level. So if they're, I mean, philanthropy in itself, like, fuck philanthropy. It is an overall social ill. Because it's undemocratic. It's allowing these people to to decide how our society pretends to solve its problems. It washes their hands of the, you know, the crimes involved in gaining that wealth and power, you know, etc. On and on.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so there was you were going to read an article about this, it had to do with the response to the
the snowpocalypse.
Right?
Yeah. Before we transition to that, I mean, I guess I want to say two things that are occurring to me now on this whole issue. It's like, one, the cynical part of me feels, and having just listened to Citations Needed on this, the neoliberal optimism. I think that this is potentially someone like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, looking at the problem of homelessness and saying, well, where can I get the best return on investment? And this feels, without knowing, this feels like that, you know.
No, they've used that language. Bezos
about
has.
This specific?
About day one, yeah.
Well,
about
sure,
it being about, finding they're going to use a strategy of doling out money based on finding, the best bang for their buck.
Yeah.
You know, which is like
families.
And then the simplicity of that answer.
Oh, totally.
Like,
yeah. And then
it's just so fucking thoughtless, and it's so day one, man. It's this is a little hack we thought of.
Right, exactly, and that in itself feels cynical to me, which just drives me up the wall.
Is it cynical? It's just like, I mean, that part of it. The cynical part is that they're making themselves feel better, and it's a PR exercise, and that that they do feel like we deserve this wealth because we're going to know how to use it. Yeah. We're going to direct it best.
Right, yeah.
But part of that's this PR part of it's cynicism, but the rest of it is just like a messianic mania.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah,
like,
like, again, believing your own hype, I think. And so the other thing I was going to say is that I suspect that this is, from the outside, again, it's sort of more sympathetic because, I mean, look at Seattle. If you talk about homelessness and then you talk about homeless families, which we're about to in this piece, I think you'll probably get two very different responses. And that's because we see ourselves, like the class of professionals see themselves in homeless families, right? But you don't see yourself in the drug addict or the person who maybe is suffering from mental illness, or the person, I mean, not that the homeless families can't be people of color, but like, you know.
Yeah, and people, just regular people without families for whatever reason who've just been priced out of their fucking homes and
you see yourself, and so that I think there's some sick impulse there. But so keep that in mind. So this is an opinion piece that came out Wednesday in the Times, the 27th of February. And
yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. The title is Seattle's Rapid Response to Shelter the Homeless in Cold Emergency Should Be the Norm. And there's this really cool, like, Super Friends, Justice League photo of all our favorite regional solutions folks, like Dow, and Inslee's there, and Durkin's there.
Oh.
They're at a podium talking it out. So this is by John Kelly, and should we wait to reveal John's identity until the end?
Does he talk about it in the piece? No. So we should know up front. This guy is
John Kelly is Senior Vice President of Global Public Affairs and Social Impact at Starbucks.
So he's Starbucks' philanthropy PR guy. Like everything we've been talking about, this is the Starbucks department of that. Yeah. This is that guy.
Yeah, well, yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
On a crisp, bright winter morning, looking out from the top of Starbucks' headquarters just south of Seattle, it's easy to see how our glistening Emerald City earned its name. Each week, hundreds of tech pioneers, biotech geniuses, respected academics, and diverse professionals seek success in a city that has produced some of the great enterprises of the world.
At least he didn't say some of the great innovations.
That is fair.
Because great enterprises sort of implies in a way that you judge enterprise on its own terms. You know? Like, enterprise is making profit.
Yeah.
It implies its own judgment structure, right. Whereas like innovation, as we would,
is highly loaded.
It will, and we would tend to have a different idea about what constitutes innovation, as a lot of this shit we read on here, and a lot of the tech utopian like horse shit in this town. So I'll at least give him that, because I thought he was going to say innovation.
Yeah, though.
But I mean, this is like
it
already
is pretty
you
rosy.
can tell where he's coming from. Like,
it's also highly marginalizing to people that don't belong to those professional.
It's just hyping this thing that is
the myth,
like
the
so
Seattle
just
myth.
To just. Can we just stop? I mean, it'll never will. But like this is. You can't. He devotes a whole paragraph on a real subject here. To like, first I've got to fluff. Yeah. He's fluffing Seattle.
Yeah, you gotta.
He's like getting
get
you hard
yeah.
first. You know, like
that's just mechanics. I mean, there's no way around that, really.
Yeah. Oh man. Did he talk about that he's sipping his coffee? Did I
no,
miss that?
I was gonna say that. I was like, I hope you've got your bean juice, your warm bean juice. Right under your nostrils, but a sky.
He doesn't want to give it up because he's actually like drinking like
not a bean juice.
No, like a sugar loaded frappuccino with like caramel sauce and shit on it. And he just like it's pushed out of his mind for that reason because of his guilt over it. All right, go on.
A skyline full of swinging construction
keeps
cranes.
Going.
Shows that the innovative spirit and skilled labor that created modern Seattle, are alive and well. So basically,
what does that mean?
I think it means that the Dracula that is living I'm in Key Arena is doing great.
Yeah, okay.
That's how I'm gonna read that and interpret that. But are you ready to get down to
All right.
the common man?
Is the movie gonna start now?
Yeah, that was the setup. So life is good. Seattle rocks. Doesn't suck yet. But take the elevator downstairs and walk outside on the streets of Seattle, and the daily scene is a shock to the senses.
So
I think...
So he's setting up. So he has to set up, because we know he's going to say something about the fact that we do need to help some homeless people.
Yeah.
So first he's got to get out of the way. Seattle is a tech utopian paradise, so I'm on your side, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
And now he sounds like he's about to get a little death wish on us, just so you know. He's not like a bleeding heart, but,
Yeah.
So go on.
Well, also just a shock to the senses. So I'm imagining like the first sense is either going to be smell or aesthetics. Obviously,
I hope it's touch. I hope he gets groped by just a crowd of dirty homeless people, and he has to scrub himself raw.
Like Return of the Living Dead.
yeah, exactly like that. That's
iconic images of the Space Needle, Mount Rainier, and the monorail.
What the fuck are you what is this?
Seattle.
I know where we live.
Oh, okay. Well, are subsumed.
He's just listing the greatest hits.
Well, he didn't put Mopop in here, so are subsumed by discarded needles, illegal tent encampments, and broken RVs.
I'm sorry, your view of Mount Rainier is impeded by a needle?
You haven't seen all those junkies on Mount Rainier?
In between my line of sight and Mount Rainier?
No, they're on Mount Rainier.
Again, I can't see them from where I am.
Oh, yeah. They thought they were Yetis.
Nor the Space Needle, for that matter. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, there are like no needles. I haven't seen needles. I've
seen needles
in the center.
Oh, I don't know about at the center, but
at least not around there. I mean, I've seen plenty of needles in Seattle, but
it's just such a like.
And the monorail too is pretty cute. Like anyone rides that thing except for fucking tourists.
All right, God, this sucks.
Here,
this is worse than I thought it was gonna be.
It is. Now that we're really reading it, not just skimming it. Here in Sodo, the small business owners courageous enough to remain fight daily for civility on their sidewalks and have largely given up on city promises to address persistent, unchecked criminal behavior.
Ooh, send in the Marines.
Yeah, goddamn. Martial law, man. Where we go one, we go all.
Yeah. So again, he's going like tough on crime. He wants us to know, that this is his reasonability pitch. Okay, because we know he's going to go. Yet we need to spend a little money on some people who are some of these derelicts, but the good ones. It's about the nights.
The ones that look like us,
not the ones committing crimes by being places, or the ones who need healthcare for their addictions.
Well, it's the ones reminding us of the precarity of 21st century life under capitalism.
Just talk. I mean, anyone who even speaks about this issue without addressing the criticism to a system is dead to me, because what he's doing instead, the only other option is to address it at those people.
Yeah,
that's what he's doing here. He's addressing the problem of these people and the detritus that of themselves and what they leave around, and the crimes they commit.
But I think if you'll let me,
and the city's failure to address those specific symptoms,
right? Yeah,
but not the city's or our society's larger failure to address the causes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is obvious. I don't know. It's like... Oh, fuck. Okay.
I don't know if it is obvious. No. Okay. It gets better, Greg. It gets so much better. Many believe the lawlessness and despair in Soto are the future of our hometown.
Wow, he's setting a dark scene here.
What the fuck is he talking about? What law? Again, as we've talked about on this show, street artists...
People living... The lawlessness
Garbage.
in Soto he's talking about, that the small business owners are talking about, that is covered in the Times, is people living in vehicles. Yeah. People living in vehicles that on public parking
see,
lanes.
And you don't want to see them because, again, they remind you that the world is unfair.
And the lawlessness is that parking regulations are not being enforced. Imagine that. I mean, think about it. He's painting this... like
it sounds
Mad Max
it sounds
picture,
like,
but we're talking about parking, the non-enforcement of the policy of non-enforcement of parking regulations.
Yeah, it's like
and like whatever
City.
ancient vagrancy laws are actually probably still on our books and actually probably are used.
Oh yeah, if needed.
Look, there aren't enough Michigas prosecutions in Seattle.
But as we have recently seen, it doesn't have to be that way. Wow.
Huh?
I must have missed this. Also, this is a fucking non sequitur. Just wait till I read it. I don't know what this has to do with what he was saying, but the recent severe weather tragically cost lives due to exposure. Yeah, that's true. I think at least 3 people passed away in the cold.
Yeah, amazing that it's not.
It might have been more, because I think I only heard 3 early on in the snow. But it also brought unprecedented action and compassion by city officials who protected the lives of the most vulnerable. Throughout our region, experts conservatively estimate that there are hundreds of unsheltered families with young children and babies sleeping in cars and trailers. So again, what's that have to do with crime and lawlessness? I don't really know.
So there's this larger problem, and the manifestations of that are said crime and lawlessness. but you can't let that taint. He's like, I get it. The abject horrors of our streets could easily, understandably taint your mind against helping anyone in need. Could easily, he's saying, I know you're thinking, are there not workhouses? Are there not prisons? And you would be absolutely right to immediately go there, he's saying.
Yeah.
But I want to just tune you in to this interesting other way of looking at a tiny, tiny part of it. Some of those people are children.
Holy shit.
Beautiful babies.
Holy shit.
Beautiful, blameless babies.
Oh, man. Yeah, they don't even have personal responsibility yet.
Oh God! What's the age of personal responsibility?
I feel like it's getting lower and lower.
So you're saying personal responsibility is not like... does that happen at the same time as ensoulment? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure.
Does it happen at conception?
Like 2 days after conception,
or is this like a bar mitzvah thing?
I think it's more akin to a bar mitzvah thing.
Or is it like do you have to be 18 to have personal responsibility?
No, no. I'm sure there's some
Let's allow for some qualifiers to do with like race and some other things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
I'm sure I think we know well that like white suburban children don't have personal responsibility until at least 30.
Yeah, maybe ever. For many, they are an afterthought because we don't often see them in downtown Seattle. So that's getting to your awesome "There Will Be Babies" little ad lib there. But for them, a severe winter storm can bring death not just deprivation and desperation.
So,
God.
deprivation and desperation. Yeah, we get it. That's
incurable.
We're gonna take that as read, okay? Like, but did you know, little beautiful babies can die
no.
from the cold?
No. They haven't even had their first job yet.
Fuck this guy. Oh, they haven't had he died without popping his cherry. He never had his first job interview. He never had the chance to take a job from the job creators.
The practice by previous Seattle government leaders during weather crises was to open emergency shelters that allow only adults. Families with children under 18 were not welcome. So that's kind of getting to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
This is an underserved group of folks. Desperate women with children were directed to the cities of Kent or Renton that welcomed them, or Mary's Place, which would overflow beyond capacity. And Mary's Place the existing one is not all that big. Last week, that changed, and it likely saved lives. Thanks to the deliberate decision made by Mayor Jenny Durkin's administration, families were finally welcomed inside from the bitter cold and snow. Oh, that's just painting this picture of people. You know, there's a thermometer on the inside.
Yeah.
That's telling you how cold it is outside, and they're just like huddled up waiting. And as the temperature drops, like then somebody's like, "Oh fuck, okay, it's cold enough."
That's basically it.
Let's let them in, I guess. Fuck.
And I mean what does that tell you too about like it's the specificity of fatality here. Okay?
Yeah.
It's that it's concentrated at a locus in time and cause, you know? Because being homeless is fucking fatal, okay?
Right, yeah.
It kills people.
Yeah.
It kills them, but it kills them slow and disparately.
Yeah.
And is a larger nebulous problem that we can't get our heads around. The problem with a storm and below freezing temperatures, and got down to like 20 degrees.
Yeah, it was very cold.
Is that it's too specific not to cover your ass. Like,
yeah.
It's not something nebulous. It's a specific thing there's an answer to.
Yeah.
And our whole economic system and our whole political economy is based on denying answers to these broader problems.
Yeah.
But this one is just too specific for that cultural spin machine to absolve. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's obvious. Why did these people die? They didn't have a place to go in the storm that one day. You know, it's like every other day of the year, you know.
Yeah, like 358 days or.
And so what that tells you, by the city not and all the criticism we have, the city, the state, the country, whatever, but let's say the city not finding shelter and then permanent housing for all these people.
Yeah.
And changing our whole economic system, blah, blah, blah. And Mayor Durkin not being motivated on those issues in the way that we've criticized in the past, but being motivated in this instance.
Because she'd look bad.
It's an ass covering because
it's managerial. This is managerial completely.
Yeah, it's risk aversion.
Yeah.
You know, it's
it's a calculation.
It's bang for buck.
Yeah, you're totally right.
It's an investment. This is an innovative move.
Yeah.
This is an innovation.
Maybe this came from the advisory council.
Oh.
Who we've heard nothing about for like over 200 days. They took critical action to open a safe place for families at the Garfield Community Center. Instead of freezing in a car, children had access to coats, stuffed animals, hot meals, and a warm bed. Can you fucking imagine that, though? Like, honestly, if you're, like you just said, if 350 days out of your normal year, you're living in a car.
Which you fucking must be if you didn't have a place to go on this day.
Yeah. And then they go, oh, well, you could have died on these days, so come live like a normal human being.
Well,
and
not like a normal human being.
Normal-ish.
Live in a gym.
Yeah, live like Hurricane Katrina, a normal human being.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to kick your ass back out on the street.
Well, we're going to kick your ass out probably when the morning comes.
Oh, yeah, right. You can't stay
And then you can
here.
line back up.
Yeah,
I don't
stay
I mean,
here.
that's usually how the shelters work.
You're probably right. But, again, like, to be allowed in and have stuffed animals, like, that feels cruel. I mean, like you said, we just don't have the will to do it.
It's just about CYA, man. It's like this is all we can muster because.
Well, no, I get that, but as a child without a home, like to experience
your whole
this,
life is a fucking nightmare that you'll never recover from ever.
Yeah. Well, let's not worry about them. Let's worry about the real heroes. The heroic efforts by our leaders, shelters such as Mary's Place, and employers, the job givers, such as Vulcan, created something that
job giver? Who knows?
that we have longed hoped for. For at least a few desperate nights, no child in Seattle had to sleep outside.
For only a few desperate nights, no child in Seattle had to... I only had to change one word in that sentence, you dumb pig fuck.
This is a vice president, I'll have you know. You can't just call him a pig. Frustrated taxpayers take notice. Your mayor and city worked for the most vulnerable when it mattered.
When it mattered?
Yeah, when it mattered. Yeah, we're stepping into a delusion.
We're living in a dude. It's the delusions world, Colin. We're just living in it, man.
I know, but like every time, once you really see this, and like
once you debase yourself by reading a newspaper,
yeah, right. Well, and then when you mainline the op-ed section, like there's no hope left.
Oh God.
Oh Christ!
I gotta get another beer.
Yeah,
man.
no, this is
harsh,
a
man.
lot bleaker than I had anticipated.
Right. Yeah, keep reading.
The recent severe weather mobilization by the city, providers, small and large employers. Again, this guy, he's just got to give his shouts out to those job givers, and hundreds of volunteers showed that Seattle can work to solve the family homeless crisis. And the good news does not stop there.
But the family homeless crisis in his mind is the 20-degree temperature nights. That seems to be the crisis he's talking about that we solved. We were able to come together and make decisions to solve. It's about decisions too. That's such managerial horseshit.
Oh yeah. Completely. Well, he will later go on to say that we need to behave when it's 40 degrees as though it were 20 degrees.
Okay, I want to hear. I'm sure.
But he's doing a pretty, frankly, honest job or awful job of tying this together. Every day and night across our region, quiet miracles are performed for unsheltered moms, dads, and kids by the United Way of King County, Mary's Place, Wellspring, and many other responsible providers supported by the employer community. Employer
community. Let's take a moment right here. Didn't we used to call that the business community? No. They're not businesses. There is no business. There is no enterprise.
Our only job.
It's only unto our jobs. It's the employer community. What the fuck? God damn, we are losing this war for.
Yeah, this
man has neither a heart nor a mind. So.
Hyper capitalist realism.
Okay, but also, what did he mean by responsible providers, by the way?
I guess
It's
that
gotta
feels
be an
it feels like a
efficiency thing,
slam.
or,
Yeah,
I don't know. Whatever.
or maybe just a way of saying,
Well, it's a way
I
of saying
see you, but I'm not going to name you.
Yeah. Like, or just an innuendo.
Yeah.
That like.
Yeah. It's a wink. It's like,
there are. Yeah, you know. People reading this who are going like some of the homelessness industrial complex, you know, he's not talking about the bad ones who just, you know, perpetuate this and cause people to come here from all over the state and whatever, you know, and and it's a grift, you know.
Yeah, so much money to be made on homelessness.
Yeah.
The Union Gospel Mission continues an 85-year-long tradition of bringing comfort and hope to thousands of homeless each night. Navigation teams, a.k.a. the city's death squads, and the Seattle Police Department are engaging 20... How Orwellian is that?
Oh, man.
Prepare to be engaged 24/7 to save lives in a county with great compassion, but perhaps not enough appreciation for its public servants.
Fuck the police.
Well, fuck the navigation teams, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they...
But...
Who are mostly...
You're not saying... I'm sorry, fuck off. You are not saving lives. But even if in one moment if you save a drowning person and then kick them off the deck of the ship back into the water, like, you haven't done shit. You've performed. That's what we do. That is what we do for homelessness. You performed the saving of a life.
Yeah.
You've not affected that person's life except in that one moment if they're going to just keep drowning.
Totally. And
like, you've as a society done nothing. Some navigation team can have a good feeling in their heart one day when they maybe do something. I mean, these are the people who mostly fucking clear out the...
Yes, they are literally the sweep squad.
So, whatever. But, yeah, and look, we need, because it is such a fucking shitty, terrible situation, an emergency, we can't, there is no, the real solutions can't happen tomorrow. You need these people, and these people, the actual shelters who are providing these services, and the other services.
The responsible providers.
Yeah, well, anyone trying to help people.
Yeah.
This is what we need, because this thing, and we need more of it immediately and for probably a goddamn long time.
Yeah.
But it's this Band-Aid ultimately. And those people, the ones who really care, who are running these organizations, they're trying to provide this frontline service because this is all they can do. It's all the power they have.
Right.
Is to do this because we need. It's a structural problem. We have to reorder our fucking economy so that we're not generating homeless people, that we're not cranking them out of them on a conveyor belt and dropping them on the street. So
yeah, and you saying that, using that analogy of kicking somebody off the ship that you just saved from drowning.
I mean,
that's
to only nautical analogies from here on out.
That's fantastic. I'm all for that, but it feels so born out of this psychology of, it's just about guilt. It's about, like, you know, like you're saying, it's like a Band-Aid of, well, I did what I helped a few people. I did what I could.
Well, it's how we sublimate the knowledge that our system is responsible for this, and it's broken. Yeah. And if you address that, you know, you have to completely, the farther down that rabbit hole you go, the more you realize has to be overthrown and built from scratch. Yeah. And if you're not going to have that realization, you're not going to do that. You need to cover your ass, the ass of your society, of your particular administration. I mean,
so here he finally is making the point that we've just been alley-oop dunking over his head on right here. We need to act with the same urgency at 40 degrees as we did when it was 20 degrees.
Okay.
Tonight, hundreds of babies are back sleeping in cars around King County because there are not enough safe places for them. If a society is judged on how we treat our most vulnerable, we still have a lot of work to do, fast. Together we can, and then he has a list of things that we can do.
Okay, well, first I want to say I take back none of our dunks, because
the point is his whole frame.
of this issue on multiple levels plays into the non-structural problem.
Yeah,
here, okay? In each iteration, even when he said, all of his language and what we critiqued is about. It's not like we didn't know where this was going.
Right.
So let's just be clear about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm just saying he's kind of meandered into a brief epiphany.
Yeah.
So he says we can act on the spending reform recommendations from a Mayor Murray 2016 city-funded report. Direct diversion assistance and affordable housing first to vulnerable families. Support the employer
That's good.
and citizen-led No Child Sleeps Outside campaign, which has helped hundreds of unsheltered families find a home.
Great.
Elect city council members who share the mayor's focus on solving the unsheltered family crisis. You might want to rethink that one a little bit. Be the voice of these tired, desperate moms, dads, and babies who do not have the means to show up and advocate for themselves before city or county officials.
Yeah, but not with that frame. Not of just... Again, it's been said, but if you target narrowly like that, you are definitionally not addressing a structural problem.
Right.
You limit yourself to just the immediate needs of a small group of people. Not even the immediate needs of everyone who needs it.
Right. Yeah.
But the immediate needs of a small group of people, and you're miles from a structural solution that prevents this in the first place. But anyway, go on.
Well, in some ways, as I kind of griped about, I think you're further perpetuating the plight of the people outside of this narrow group.
Yeah.
You're actually actively making it worse for those people. These steps and more are on the agenda of the first family service provider convening. Whoa, what the fuck? I think this is a typo, because those are all capital letters. Family service provider convening. Maybe that's a convention of experts, funders, and employers at the Starbucks Support Center. We met this week knowing that change is possible.
Oh, they had a conference.
And our you got to get everybody into a room. You got to do it. Into the Ted Bundy room.
The Ted Bundy conference room, yeah.
And our unsheltered family crisis is solvable. We can be the Emerald City again when no child sleeps outside. And that's it.
How utterly banal. I mean...
Well, I get so hung up on this because it's... As you said, Greg, he's miles away from really getting it. But it's like you're kind of trying to get there.
But with so many deliberate blinders up, with so many avenues that are closed off to...
Yeah.
From the start, that he is what... That's the thing. He's got this narrow thing that he's got... He wants to get somewhere to say something like, we need to help somebody.
Yeah. But he has
because that sounds good. But he's consciously or unconsciously knows he's got this narrow path that he's squeezing himself through to get to something.
Because there are things you can't say.
There's just things that are just off the table.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's off the table for presidential candidates.
Yeah, I mean...
Look at Elizabeth Warren or Beto just saying, I bow before the golden calf of capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to shit on things like this. These peons to compassion from capital that...
Right, yeah.
Again, sound like... He sounds like he's saying something like, we need to help families. Like, how can you argue with that? But
right.
Every single thing about his framing of and the way he's thinking about it is limited and just fucking wrong and ultimately evil. So, fuck that guy.
Yeah, man.
What's his name again?
John Kelly.
Okay, he's a shithead. Oh, okay. Well, fuck all that.
Damn.
Oh, what? That was in the Seattle Times yesterday?
Yeah, that was Seattle Times op-ed.
All right. Well, that's
the show.
That's our.
Yeah, so we have some new new patrons on
Oh,
Patreon.
hell yeah.
Yeah, this is very exciting for us.
Hell yeah.
Not only that, if you haven't yet dipped your toe in giving us your money, we also very recently released some patron-only
Some
content.
patron exclusive, some very limited patron exclusive content.
And
It's not long. I mean, don't you dare get entitled with this shit, okay? Like, just because we posted 6 minutes of audio cut from the cutting room floor of another episode for the handful of people who give us money does not mean there will ever be a single sliver of content more for your money. This, just to make that clear. There might be. I'm just saying, don't get entitled with me. Don't get entitled with me. All right.
Don't have any expectations. I mean, hell, we can barely get together to record this damn show, but we definitely want to thank and welcome 2 new patrons. Ian Edwards, thank you very much for donating to the show.
Yeah, Ian, cool guy.
Yep. Came back to Seattle.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I think he was doing work for GeekWire.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you to our great friend, Matt Beck. But yeah, if you're not contributing, check us out on Patreon. I think it's patreon.com, Seattle Sucks. You can give us any amount of money. It doesn't have to be...
But it should be...
It doesn't have to be $10,000. It doesn't have to be $50,000. It can be...
The price of a
$200
Starbucks...
oh, right. Yeah, that's
latte,
That's our recommended donation is the current market price of a Starbucks latte. In Seattle, right?
Yeah,
Specifically in Seattle.
Your closest Starbucks, which can't be far. We were going to mention... to everybody, if you're got those blue things in the mail, the democracy vouchers,
and you don't know what to do with them,
you should give them to Sean Scott because he came on our podcast, and we're probably too lazy to get any other candidates on. We'll see. I'm promising nothing, but he's a very good candidate.
His politics rule. He's an awesome guy.
Check that episode out if for some reason you're weirdly just turning in now. I don't know. You probably already heard that. But anyway, democracy vouchers are out. They're really easy to fill out. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Thannes for listening to Seattle Sucks.
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter if you haven't
hit us up
already.
on Twitter. Say things to us. Tell us,
fluff us up a little bit.
Fluff us up, or just tell us things to do.
We have needs.
Tell us things to talk about.
Yeah, Greg was even talking about maybe doing a live show. Can you believe that? I'm just trembling right now, just imagining what that would mean.
When I said that, I was forgetting that you're like a paralyzed agoraphobe.
I live in a very dark place in my brain somewhere. And
okay, all right, we'll see. Again, promising nothing, but maybe we'll find a bar and see if we can get 10 of our listeners to come out and we'll record an episode.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, cool. Bye, everybody.
Bye.